Hello. Hi, good afternoon. Wow, I'm a little nervous. My name is Azucena Garcia, like she said. Thank you for having me today. It's really great to be at an event that's promoting the growth of such important work. Initially, my thought was, with the exchange of so much information amongst doctors, I thought, what can I possibly bring to the table? And last night we had a little dinner, and I spoke to two very witty, smart, fun individuals that work at MD Anderson, and they work with corporate units. And they said that it's really cool to hear survivor stories because they know that the work that they do is important, but it's a nice reminder that what they do really has an impact on people. So, again, I'm going to share my story, not a lot of medical terminology, but just real life events, and I'm just grateful to be able to share that I'm here today because of a cord blood transplant. So here we go. So much like Dr. Patel, I'm going to start with the obligatory family slide. That is my family. That's my wife Kelly, my kids Mason, Elena, and Alyssa, and my puppy Abby. She's an 11-year-old puppy, but she's still a puppy to me. Abby has been around since day one with my journey. So this is what I do. I am a high school teacher. I'm a coach at Lopez Early College High School in Brownsville. I won't hold it against you that you don't know where Brownsville is, but I always say, you know where Houston is? Yes, well, we're 5 hours south of that. Brownsville is a border city. We share a border with Mexico, so there's a lot of culture there, a lot of mainly Hispanics. Beautiful, beautiful culture that we get to partake in. That's a picture of me yelling at kids as they run. I'm a cross-country coach, and I also coach track. So here's a little timeline. As you can see, I'm not the best at putting together a PowerPoint presentation. Technology and I are not friends, so this is my attempt at doing so. What you see here is a timeline of my journey through cancer. What you don't see there is the emotional roller coaster that I went on through this time. So everything started in 2010. I was 27 years old when I was diagnosed with stage 3 breast cancer. Shortly before I was diagnosed, the insurance people came to my campus and they offered all kinds of extra insurance, including cancer insurance. And I said, I don't need cancer insurance, I'm 27 years old. And a month later, I was diagnosed with cancer. So imagine how I felt after that. Cancer stirs so many emotions, right? The ones that stood out with me were fear and hope, right? So I'm going to touch on that as I go along. So with my initial cancer diagnosis came the fear. I was very fearful. What is happening? I got diagnosed on a Monday. On a Tuesday, I had a port put in. On Thursday, I'm getting chemo. So it was fast. My oncologist in Brownsville at Texas Oncology said, this cancer is fairly aggressive. We're going to treat it very aggressively. After my first round of chemo, I noticed I could feel my tumor shrinking. I could feel it shrinking. So I was very hopeful. After my first round of chemo, I went over to MD Anderson, and doctors there said, okay, you're responding very well. So I was very, very hopeful. I spent my 20th birthday at MD Anderson. So I started off, riding that roller coaster with fear, then I went up to hope. My treatment continued. I had 6 cycles of chemotherapy. Valentine's Day 2011, I had a mastectomy. After that, I moved to Houston for 6 weeks of radiation. Things went well. I was riding that hope, that upward climb of hope. Had a great summer, bought a house, got my puppy. Everything was just fantastic. Finished the 11-12 school year. Everything's great. That summer 2012, my friends and I started working out together. It was great. We were doing some weird things. We were pushing cars, we were flipping giant tractor tires, all that kind of stuff. And one day, we were warming up, and within a minute, I had to go sit down because I could not catch my breath. And this was very new, and the guy leading the class came up to me and was basically like, "Hey, what's going on? We're just warming up." I said, "I know, but I can't catch my breath." That was at August. Stopped working out because I couldn't catch my breath. So September came along, and I had routine blood work at Texas Oncology. They were keeping an eye on me. Remember, I'm 1 year post, mastectomy and all that good stuff. So I did routine blood work, and I hadn't even made it home when I received a call from Texas Oncology saying, "Hey, we need you to come back. We need more blood from you. We need to run more tests." So I went back, they collected more blood. Oncologist says, "Hey, something's not right. We need to do bone marrow aspiration." So I don't know much about this stuff, so I just listened to my doctor and waited a few weeks. And when I went in for my appointment, I went in there very hopeful. Again, I went in very hopeful. And I clearly remember the nurse who was going to take my vitals and took me back, and she asked, "Hey, how are you today?" And I said, "Well, I'm doing great. I'm just here for some good news." And her facial expression told me that there was not going to be good news. Right? So that high of hope that I had been riding very quickly turned into fear. Spoke to my oncologist, and he said, your bone marrow is not working. You have something called MDS, and he said there's no cure for that. This is October 4th, 2012. And I remember he said there's no cure for that. So here's I'm just sitting there and I'm thinking, what do you mean by that? So I left there with a lot of questions, a lot of fear. I had an upcoming appointment at MD Anderson just to follow up breast clinic stuff. And that was going to be the following week. And I remember I got diagnosed with MDS on a Thursday. Friday, I did not go to work. And my friend said, "Hey, don't you want to call MD Anderson today and let them know that there's been a development?" And I said, "I don't want to call. I just want to have this last normal weekend to myself, because I know that once I get up there, my life is going to be turned upside down." And eventually I made it up there. They ran everything again. They ran the tests. They did all the things that they do. They confirmed, yes, you do have MDS. And I didn't know what MDS was. I had never heard of it. I wasn't much of a Google person. Through breast cancer, I didn't Google anything because I didn't want to know. I was scared to Google. I don't know what got into me one day, and what is MDS? So I Googled, and then I just realized, oh, okay, so the things that are supposed to be going on in my bone marrow are not going on in my bone marrow. And the thing that stood out to me was that this turns into AML. And while I didn't know, I'm not a cancer expert, I knew what AML was. And that terrified me. And then the other thing that came up on Google was this beautiful statistic, right? MDS is uncommon before the age of 50. And I thought, of course this happened to me. Of course. Come to find out later, as it was explained to me at MD Anderson, my MDS was therapy related, so that had nothing to do with chance. It was therapy related. So in essence, the treatment that I received to save my life from breast cancer was a cause of this new problem. So Dr. Garcia Manero, who is a leading voice in MDS. He started me on a protocol. It's been a long time, so I don't really remember. I do remember Berenistat. I moved to Houston. I left school and I moved to Houston to start chemotherapy. And initially, things looked good. Right? It was working. My blast went down 2%. Okay, we're going to continue with this. And everything was great until one day it stopped being great. My blast count went up. I got up to 11%. Dr. Manero said, okay, we're going to have to change course. And I do remember that visit. I remember that I cried there for the first time. And Dr. Manero got a little teary-eyed himself. And he asked me, well, what's happening? What is this? I said, well, I'm not used to this. I'm not used to things not working out. He says, what do you mean? Well, at the breast clinic, everything just went my way. I responded to chemotherapy, tumor shrunk, I had surgery, they got it all, margins were good, everything worked out. And here I am in your clinic, and things are just going downhill. So I was scared. And he said, you know what, we're gonna work it out. We're gonna work it out. After that, the talk of a transplant came up. So once again, I was hopeful. My brother and my sister, I'm the baby, they sent off their stuff for testing. And my brother said, watch, I'm gonna be your match. I'm gonna be your match. And I was very hopeful. And then one day, I got the call that said, hey, neither of your siblings is a match. So there goes that roller coaster again. The fear, here comes the fear. What do we do now? What do we do now? Neither is a match. What are we gonna do? And I remember thinking, I don't wanna die young. I don't wanna die young. That was my thing. I just don't wanna die young. I was still in Houston. I don't remember the details in between. But the next talk that came up was, okay, there's still something we can do. So I was no longer a patient at the leukemia clinic, and now I was transferred to the stem cell clinic. And that's where I met Dr. Hosing. And we started talking about stem cell transplant using cord blood. And that's what we did. That's what we did. I didn't even know that was an option. I didn't know that was an option. And there, the picture that you see, that's the cord blood that was used to save my life. So something that would have been discarded, and it just boggles my mind, as something that is discarded every day in many, many hospitals, is what saved my life. A lot of you know what the process is. I went into the hospital July 10th, 2013. I started with chemotherapy. I started with full body radiation to get my body ready for transplant. I was feeling good. The day of the stem cell infusion came, and to be honest with you, it was rather anticlimactic because it's just an infusion. Your room is full of doctors, and everybody's reading numbers in the bag and confirming and asking me for my medical number and what is happening, and they infuse those cells, and 30 minutes later they leave, and then it's time to order lunch. So I was just thinking, like, is this it? And it was it. So then the clock starts. The clock starts, right? We need to wait for engraftment. We need to reach that 100 days. And I would love to say that everything went smoothly. I would love to say that I had no complications, but I had complications. One of them was graft versus host disease. I had a little bit of it in my gut. I had issues in my gut. I had mouth sores. Couldn't eat for a few weeks. in between. There's a lot of isolation. Can't be around a lot of people. You have to wear that dark-looking mask. You can't go home. You can't go home. So I was in the hospital for 41 days. August of 2013, I was discharged, and they allowed me to leave the hospital, but I had to stay in a tiny apartment about a mile away because I had to go for daily visits. My magnesium was very low. I had to get daily infusions, and it's just a constant thing. So I was in town for another 60-something days. I celebrated another birthday at MD Anderson, but overall, I mean, it worked out. It worked out, and it's all because of cord blood. And here I have a collection of pictures. The first one that you see is the day before I went into the hospital to start this whole process. I lost a lot of weight, and I shaved my head. My friends shaved my head because I said, you know what? I'm going to be in control of this. I'm going to shave my head. I'm not going to wait to lose my hair. We're going to shave it. The second picture you see there is the day 0. That was the day, transplant day. I was pretty terrified. The next picture is me hooked up with a lot of IV lines. I don't even know how those nurses keep everything in order. Wow. And then a few days later, the fevers came, and the oh no came. And then, as you can see, the progression of the process. I looked pretty sick before the steroid moon phase took over. So the first picture was July 2013, and that last picture is January of 2014. So when I look at these pictures, I just think, wow. I went through all that. In preparation for coming to this conference, I spent a few hours the other night going through my medical records. And a lot of that stuff, I had forgotten about it. It's been 10 years, and I forgot about a lot of that stuff. But my mind again went to, wow, the amount of work that was done for me, the things that were done, just wow, you know? In all those instances where I felt so much fear, there were also a lot of things going on that I didn't know that would bring hope to me, to my case. And the next slide, the last slide. Every year on my rebirth day, I take a picture. I started this on my third one. I take a picture holding up how old I am, right? So this year, I will be taking a picture holding up 10 fingers. And I'm really excited about that. And I want to wrap up with this. The work that you guys do, to all the doctors and the researchers and the people who prepare those cord blood units and are in the background, that work with logistics, the ones that work with funding, the ones that work in the clinic, everything that you do matters. What you do matters for people like me. What you do matters to families of people who are saved because of cord blood. So I just want to thank you. I want to thank you for the work that you do. I want to thank you for the hope that you give. What you do gives people hope. And that is a beautiful, beautiful gift. Thank you very much.